Yes.
I hope you can't hear the digger that decided to spark up in the olive groves just behind our house.
No, I can't. That's good, isn't it?
I suspect it's the next door neighbours making their luxury chicken run. Because they are making a luxury chicken run. When you design your own house, you see, you can design every single aspect of it.
I know. You're speaking to an aficionado of grand designs.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show.
It's a brand new day.
Morning.
Hola!
Well, Calimero, I should say, shouldn't I?
Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yes. I'd love to do that, by the way, design a house out here. It'd be fabulous. No, okay.
Or anywhere.
Or anywhere, indeed, yes. I'll tell you somewhere. It would have to have central heating, that's for sure.
Yeah, getting a bit chilly.
Just if I'd really known in my bones and my head and my heart how cold it is, in a house without any central heating. It takes me right back to the early 60s, Judith.
Yeah, one of my clients said to me in October when you were contemplating this, and who is a listener to the podcast, she said, I don't know how she's going to manage in the winter, because we'd all read that book from Daphne that said it was freezing and you needed a dehumidifier and an electric blanket and blah, blah, blah. But we didn't say that to you because we didn't want to put you off, obviously.
No, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because if I'd really known, and other people did say, someone else said to me, you're going to be frozen, but I didn't really believe them and I didn't really know what they meant. And actually, it's okay. You know, if I've got, how many layers have I got on today? I've got a vest and leggings, then I've got a under t-shirt, an over t-shirt, I've got a dressy thing, I've got a cardigan, I've got another cardigan and a scarf on standby, which is what I would wear if I went out. But actually, when you go out and the sun's shining, it's quite warm. I've just had to buy some fingerless gloves because my hand on my cold metal mouse Mac gets cold. But we got hot water, we got a fire in the evenings, we've got hot food. It's all good.
I saw a comedian on the television over Christmas time saying that his winter uniform was just several layers of his summer uniform all worn together simultaneously.
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly right. And I often have a cold left hand because as now I have the window open because I like to have fresh air and it is January and it affects my mouse hand. So and I've got central heating, Nicola, so it's a problem here.
I don't know, my mum's always had central heating and she's always had it jacked up. What's going to happen is we're going to come home to England. I'm not going to be able to walk into a room where there's central heating, so I won't be able to breathe.
And not until you're acclimatised, no. But I tell you what I sometimes do. I sometimes warm my hands up on my laptop because my laptop is overheating at the moment and it's like a little fiery furnace.
And Sarah requested hot water bottles, so they have been arriving in due succession. So
well, that's a funny old-fashioned thing. I don't think I've had one of those since boarding school.
No, exactly. But cool, it's lovely. You put it in where your body goes, and then when you get in, you move it down to where your feet are. It's lovely, Judy.
Well, one of my friends I'm going to tell you about in a minute, she's lived in Manchester. She's always had one of those. A bit cold up north.
Yeah. And I kept thinking about buying an electric blanket, and Daphne did very kindly send me the link to the shop that will deliver. But and they do sell them in Katarina's for about €40. But I keep thinking, I'll tough it out. Now, why am I thinking?
I actually think it's probably quite good for your health to be on the colder side.
Oh, on the topic of health, I've lost a stone, Judith.
Oh, very good. How have you done it?
Well, I got on a scale, so it told me I had to work it out in kilograms.
Oh, because of the walking?
Yeah, all the walking up and down the hill.
Because nothing else has changed, has it?
No, it's the walking, definitely.
Very good.
Yeah, so I had to buy a scales at Katarina's yesterday to find out. But I looked in the camera of my computer and thought, I've lost a few chins. I must have lost some weight.
I've got some news for you because in the, dear listener, Nicola and I are recording another 2 episodes today because we've had a bit of a holiday. Can you hear the police going by?
Yeah,
Yeah. I'll just let them go by. And while we've been off in the 5 minutes between episode 1 and 2, which of course is a week in Podland, I went onto Facebook to wait for you while you were doing what you were doing. And I found something that speaks to what you told us about in last week's episode, where you told us about the Leo Porter thing about not trying to change other people and being disappointed when they didn't behave in the way that you wanted to. And somebody has subverted the serenity prayer. You know, the serenity prayer is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, into one that I think you might like. And I will send you the meme for your screen. Grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me. Good.
Very nice, yes. That's very good. So what have you been up to?
In the second week of my holidays? Well, it's about friends. I had a long chat with Marion in Ireland because we couldn't meet up. And she, as you know, because she stood in one of the stand-ins for the podcast last year. By the way, I've got 3 already for the current August, so that's going well. Yeah. We had a long chat, and of course, in the world of Swimming World, that's where she works now, Christmas is not a particularly quiet time of year. She did groups between Christmas and New Year, and of course January is a big push for them. So I had a long chat with Marion, and then I had a long chat with my older screw friend Leslie, who invented Jenga, and she's going to Africa for 3 months any day now, and her daughter, who is technically my goddaughter, sent me a save the date I'm getting married thing yesterday. But the envy about Leslie going to Africa is that they're not online in the house in which they live. They're online in the big house, which is on the same estate. So in order to get online, they've got to do a little walk up to the big house and then come home. And I just envied this thing. We both described it as, you know, they can't get you. You're just like that phone call thing you described in last week's episode. To be remote, where you're not on all the time, is something I found very appealing, particularly as I settled into the second week of my holiday. Not that I would want to go to Africa to achieve it, because that's all a bit scary for me, to be honest. And then my third friend was Susie, who came to visit. Susie from Manchester. She had the hot water bottle, hot blanket. And it was lovely to see her. I went to collect her. She's the same age as me, and I went to collect her from her son's house, and her son has a wife and 2 children. So at that house, she was granny. And then she came to my house, and then I delivered to her brother's, who's on his 3rd wife. So there was a brother and a wife and another nephew. In that house, she was auntie. So that was quite good fun. And I've known her since 1976, something like that. And we had 6 hours together, and we could have talked for 66 hours, to be honest. And so my second week has all been about catching up with friends. What I've really liked about the holidays is time to see people, time to talk to people. And I don't normally have time for that. I'm too busy working.
Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. And spending, long periods of time with people where you really get to properly.
Yes, and also because I've lost some weight and I'm feeling better about myself, happy to get out and about and see people.
Oh, that's nice. Just to warn you, a storm has just arrived, and when storms happen in Greece, they're big storms with loud thunder.
Well, it's not the end of the world, is it? Because if we have to stop this and restart it on another day, this is our one for the week after Friday, so we're all right.
Yeah, okay, good point. But it just sometimes knocks the internet out.
I understand. Tell me about your week before we have to go.
It's been extremely quiet and a little bit frustrating because I'm waiting on other people, and I'm not good at that at all. I have busied myself in the meantime with installing software, which I'll talk a bit more about. But I'm waiting for my app to go live in the iTunes store. And it's a central plank of my new business is the app, central marketing plank of it. And I really want to swap my Facebook ads from the survey, which I'm now... God, the survey Facebook ads has gone so well, Judith, I can't tell you. I'll be getting opt-ins, and nearly 100% of those opt-ins are going on to answer my 2 questions in the survey. And I'm getting survey responses. People have been through the whole survey funnel and been offered my Tripwire product for under, I got it down to under £1 at one point, but it's now crept up to about £1.30. But as anyone who uses Facebook ads to get leads will know, it's not just to get a lead, but to get a lead who then answers a survey question and then goes on to see your offer for £1.30 is astonishing. It's the best campaign I've ever run, I think. But in the meantime, I'm desperate to get it swapped over to app downloads because obviously, that's my new thing. And it's waiting for the iTunes store to review the app. It's just endless. I keep looking at it every day, and I'm trying not to look at it twice a day, but I can't help myself. And I'm not good at waiting for things because I like to crack on with stuff, as you know.
Mm.
And so I'm having to learn to be patient there and fill my time doing other things while I wait for the iTunes store to approve my app.
But you're slightly ahead of schedule there anyway, aren't you?
Yes, I didn't think it'd be ready till the end of January.
Yeah. So actually, possess thine soul in patience, Nicola.
Absolutely. Right. So what's fueled your fire this week then?
Do you want to go first?
It's a funny one, this one, because what's really...
So is mine. That's why I made you go first.
Very good. It's used... Right, okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm doing something that I feel very focused and clear about, which is interesting because I was in such a fog of confusion about 5 weeks ago. And I'm having this marvellous opportunity because of this little pension pot that I didn't know I'd taken out when I was 19. I had a little payout, and I've been able to come at this business using the best of everything. You know how you have to bootstrap things normally. You have to, earn a bit of money and then invest it and then see if you get the results and then wait. And it's all very slow and painful when you're bootstrapping. But to come at a business brand new and to be able to have the best of everything, like the best membership software, the best customer support software, to be able to advertise using Facebook ads, which is the best advertising medium right now, to be able to put in a deadline funnel that opens and closes your funnel, to be able to do it the best way that is available right now has been a real treat. And it's been a really interesting psychological experience because it means that if it doesn't work, that's down to me. There's none of this, oh, well, if I could have had that software, it would have made all the difference. Do you know what I mean? Mm. But equally, so it's scary because it means that if you set it all live, the app goes live, everyone ignores it, perhaps there's crickets, nobody joins the membership site in spite of my 12 carefully written follow-up emails. But nobody opts in to get on the waiting list for the membership site, it goes through the deadline funnel thing. Anyway, in spite of all the best software, if it doesn't work, that's down to me. But the nice thing about it is that I know I will just keep going. I was
just going to say, if it doesn't if it doesn't fly in the launch sequence, all you can do then is market it for the next 3 years. Okay, don't give up. People take ages to catch on. No,
and the thing that I like about it the most is that what I'll be doing what I absolutely love to do, which is helping people to market themselves, their businesses better online. And I'll be doing it through a medium that I really enjoy, which is the membership site and the app. And I'll be able to travel the world doing it because wherever I am, as long as I've got my mobile phone, I'll be able to answer someone's question. So they will be able to get an answer to any digital marketing question in probably within an hour or two, because I'll have my mobile phone with me, and unless I'm asleep, I'll be able to answer it. And the thing about this software, the support software, is it builds up a knowledge base from people's questions. So, even if I'm not available right that red hot second, it will direct them to similar questions that other people have answered. So I'm really quite excited about it, but also a bit trepidatious because there's nothing worse than launching something, even a soft launch as I'm doing. I'm not going out to lots of joint venture partners or affiliates or anything like that, but I'm soft launching it. You're still a little bit scared of the sound of crickets.
I think this is an opportunity for you to do something that I've never known you to do, which is after the launch, you just keep plugging away at it forever.
Yeah. And I really feel very happy about that idea.
Yeah, because that's what I keep saying to everybody all of the time, don't keep changing. Now you've got a format that you're really happy with. Just like that list you gave us last week of, what do we know Jeff Walker for? Product launch formula. Okay, he's done other things as well, but get known for this and take as long as it takes to get known for this. And then eventually you hit critical mass.
Yeah, and the thing is that I always have been known for being, ahead of the game on internet marketing. But because I went through that 2 or 3 year hiatus when my confidence was shattered, I let other people take that mantle. And now I think hopefully this app will bring me smack bang back into the middle of it again. And, I have got 20 years experience of marketing, lots of different businesses online. And, when I think back to the list of businesses I've helped, create digital products and get traffic and improve their businesses. I've got all that experience, and I'm really, really looking forward to sharing it with lots of people. So yes, that's what's fueled my fire, all of that.
Right. So I'm going to be saying to you, this is a warning now, for as long as we continue to do this podcast, every week I'm going to be saying to you, stick at it, Nicola, stick at it, Nicola, stick at it, Nicola.
The brilliant news is, actually, to make a fantastic living, I only need 200 clients.
And do you know what I like about that? Something I learned when I was a travel agent, which is when you sold out your quota, you've sold out your quota, job done. You put your feet up on the desk and you know that you can completely relax because you've done it. If you guess we can fit more in, that's lovely, but you don't need to.
Yeah, and you can concentrate on serving those customers.
Yeah.
Ultimate.
Yeah, and also you'll know when you've done it. And in self-employment, you don't know that often. It's just more of the same, more of the same, more of the same. If you're heading for 200 and you hit 200, you'll know you've done it, which is great.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. And the other wonderful thing is I know at each stage of the funnel, so every week, how many new app downloads have I got? How many people have contacted me through my new customer support system? How many people, new customers have signed up for the membership site? It's a concrete, finite number at each stage of the game. So I'll also know where I need to improve things. That all makes me feel very rested and calm.
Okay.
Most unlike me. Go on then. What's fueled your fire then?
Well, I'm in two lines. My fire might be fueled by, if I decide to go ahead with this, I'm not sure, and I'm waiting, you'll laugh, but I'm waiting for Mercury to cease to be retrograde, which is this coming Sunday, the 8th.
Oh, is it? Right.
I'm thinking of launching a new group, not a business group, one about life.
Oh, my God.
I've already set up the Facebook group, and it's inspired by Robbie's tune, I Love My Life. It's called I Love My Life. Because my interests, I will always be interested in business, but I've got no ambitions in the area of my own business. I've got ambitions in the area of my clients' businesses, but that's not what really sets me on fire anymore. What sets me on fire is quality of my life. And yesterday, a lot of people were talking about balance. Yeah, it is balance, but it's having a wonderful life is more interesting to me these days than having a wonderful business. And interestingly, it's half of what our podcast is ostensibly about. Own it, your business and your life. So I'm going more into the life area, and I'm going to help people with, having a wonderful life and disentangling themselves from all of the reasons why they don't go for that and fully embrace it. And this was triggered slightly by, it's been an interest of mine for some time. It was triggered slightly by an innocent question I put on Facebook before Christmas, which was, if you were contemplating taking up a new hobby in 2017, what would it be? And gazillions of people came in talking about all of the interests that they got. It's also triggered by the thing I've got about people not wanting to buy what they need, but about what they want. So I'm going to play with people in the area of what they want their lives to be about. And I think it's also about these dark and difficult times that we live in, Brexit, Trump, all of that kind of thing, and that people are doing this thing I see of having wonderful holidays and expensive Christmases and treats and all of that because they want the antidote to the darkness and the misery.
Yes. It's going to be interesting when he actually takes power, isn't it?
Oh, well, interesting is a good word, Nicola. But anyway, let's go there. I'm contemplating, I'm laying some groundwork, and I may put it in this week's newsletter tomorrow, and I may start blogging about it. I don't know. A new group called I Love My Life.
I like it a lot. Yeah, you're right. I think people they are looking for, and it's interesting about being here because the reason I came here was because I wanted to learn how to live life better and stop working quite so much. And, we go on this round trip down to the village for a coffee and we sit and see in the sun and then we come back and we walk up the little Greek roads, and you'll see all this soon because I'm going to be doing more video. And then we go into Katerina's, and I would never have enjoyed walking around Tesco's in the same way that I enjoy walking around Katerina's. And then we come back and I light the candles, never had candles at home. And then we light the fire, never had a fire at home, and really enjoying having a fire. And it's really interesting about the things that you enjoy when you give yourself time and pay the attention. That improve your quality of life so much.
Indeed. And I forgot to tell you one crucial element of my thing. It's going to be in keeping with what I've always said, because I don't need to do this from a business perspective. It's going to be my first 100% pay what you want group. So there'll be a lifetime's membership. I'm not quite sure what that means yet. I think it probably means 2017. And so I'll probably invite people to resubscribe every year, but they can pay what they want to be in it.
Oh, that's a nice idea. You want to do that, haven't you?
I have always wanted to. Well, eventually I want to turn my entire business model over to it. But this, because it's icing on my cake, not my bread and butter, I can afford to make it 100% pay what you want.
What a fabulous idea.
I think it would be sort of crossed over with crowdfunding, because I think depending on what they pay, there might be different levels of what they get, but we'll see.
Oh, I like that idea too, because crowdfunding's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I might give them some examples. I might say, you know, if you contribute at this level, you'll get this. If you contribute at that level, you'll get that. And if you get and one of the things I'm going to give away at one of the levels is we referred to in an exchange of emails over the holidays, which is, you know, there's the bonus opportunity of our recordings. And they were all about having a wonderful life.
Yes, they were. Yeah, very nice. Very good. I like that. So
well, I mean, 2 lines. I don't know whether I'm going to do it yet, but I think I might. If I were to create anything new next week, it would be that.
I mean, we've both been saying for the last 3 weeks, nothing new, nothing.
Well, it's because, you know, selling business coaching, I think, is getting harder and harder. So I want to create something that's easy and fun, and also in my area of interest. So my interest in business won't die. It never will, because it's who I am. But my interest for myself that I'm exploring is about how to have a wonderful life.
From a marketing point of view, it is a perfect front end, because, as you say, people buy what they want, not what they need. Actually, what they want is a lovely life. What they think they need is a business. I know where you're going with this, and you're right that may be a front end, but actually, in this group, I will have employed people, self-employed people, and unemployed people. So, you know, one of them, you know, if you want a wonderful life, I can start working with people with jobs, is what it means. I can start working with people of my age who don't want a job or even a business anymore. You know, it opens up the channels, and some of them might be a business, and certainly money will come into it, because many people think they can't have a wonderful life unless they crack the money aspect. Yeah, it's true. It's very true, yeah.
But actually, that hobby thing made me realise that people, you know, want to have fun now and have all sorts of ways of having it without necessarily having any money. You know, a hobby doesn't need to be expensive, but there's some reasons why we don't immerse ourselves in things, because just as we described, you know, we don't think we've got the time to spend time with friends or whatever it is. And with the encouragement that I could give and the community could give around this, you just do it. Stop putting your life on hold.
Yeah, nice. Like it a lot. I shall certainly be joining.
Good.
Would you like to hear about 18 proven ways to enjoy a successful location-independent business and the freedom to live wherever you like? Own It the Summit is a pack of 18 dynamite interview recordings with globally successful entrepreneurs, sharing their secrets of the real laptop lifestyle. We handpicked each of these people to interview to show you how to set yourself free to design your ideal lifestyle, whether working from home or travelling the world, while running a successful virtual business that you absolutely love. Just visit ownitthesummit.com and get your hands on these life-changing recordings today.
So let's go to our other client challenge of the week. You sent me 2. I've forgotten what the second one is.
Well, this one's an interesting one, because I'm going to come at it from 2 angles. Okay. As you know, I've been running a survey where I ask people 2 things. One is, what's your biggest challenge around marketing your business online? And the second question is, if I could wave a realistic magic wand, borrowed from Chris Barrow, what do you think would most help you with that? And so some really interesting answers. And when I went through them, I actually got myself 4 highlighter pens from Katarina's, and I went through and I divided them up, and I highlighted the main thrust of the challenge question. And I used a certain colour pen depending on whether it was mind, money, marketing, or something else. And when I read 300 odd challenges and the things that people felt that they would most help them with that challenge, I realised that people's thinking is very flawed. they're not thinking very well. And I'm not saying that I'm a genius or anything, but I have worked a lot on this how to think thing, because I don't think that I was ever taught how to think very well. And I think that you are someone who does think very well. You've got absolute clarity, focus. You know, you go through phases where things are a bit tougher, but there's nothing, I don't think there's ever much wrong with your thinking procedure. So in the email I sent you, I actually gave 3 or 4 examples of how thinking models. But before we go there, I want to just think out some of the things that I was seeing in the survey. For example, that stood out to me as examples of faulty thinking. And one of them was finding a hot niche to market to. Well, that's faulty thinking, because you need to find a niche that you're interested in, because if you don't, then the hot niche will not interest you and you won't do it. And then the realistic magic wand that they wanted for that was, you could give me the tools and know-how to easily find buyers. And that's looking for someone to give you what you need, rather than realising that you have to go out and learn what you need or take what you need. The other one was reaching more people with a clear and concise message of how my product can help them. Now that sounds quite clear and straightforward. But then it goes on to say that the realistic magic wand is, I want help from a great marketer who truly understands my product. And funnily enough, I've had 2 or 3 people this week send me endless emails about their product or service, hoping to get me passionate enough about their product and service that I'll offer to help them do the marketing. And the third one example I pulled out was reaching people who are actually interested. And they said, I want to find a way to make my product sound so appealing that people would want to share the information with others. So that person is looking to to describe their product in such a way that other people will do the marketing for them, essentially. And those are 3 things that jumped out at me. And in some ways it was a little bit depressing, because I thought, how can there be so many people who are so clueless? And then I thought, well, that's great, because it means that there's a real market for my membership site. And then I came across one where she's got better thinking processes, because in the question and answer section, she actually answered her own question, which was really good. She said, my product is a small convenience store in a fairly isolated area, which is ripe for tourism development. And then she went on to say that her realistic magic wand to fix that problem would be more joint ventures with other local service providers. So she's answered her own question there. She's taken herself one step on.
Yes.
So that's the first part of this. Do you have any thoughts about all of that?
Only one, actually, which is, if you were to have a conversation with the 3 that you've highlighted in yellow, the ones that we're saying have faulty thinking, it seems obvious to me that actually they've just got poor communication skills. So, they've only written their problem in sort of 12 words. And I think if we go into it, the first thing I can hear them saying is, well, it's not quite what I meant, because I think people are quite poor at communicating what they mean.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm liking the idea of it. I agree. This is why I didn't understand it when you sent it to me this morning, because I as you know, appreciate, enjoy, and nurture my brain above all other parts of my body. I enjoy my own thinking. I enjoy my ability to think. I love allowing other people to pick my brains. It's paramount to me. And if there were any loss of that in later life, I don't even want to think about that. But I don't know, and I'm hoping you're going to tell us in a minute. Because I have no need for it. I don't understand about thinking models or what they are. Tell us more about that.
Well, I'd first like to delve a little bit more. I mean, when is your family a family of clever, straight-thinking people?
No, and this is really interesting, because my sister-in-law constantly comments on this, because my brother and I are really bright, but neither of us went to university. We went to a second-rate public school, and neither of our parents were particularly bright or particularly well-educated. So my brother and I are kind of freaky, we're kind of freaks of nature, but we both live in our heads, and we love our brains very much. And that was the interesting thing about having my friend Susie visit from Manchester, who did go to Oxford, actually, and is a brain box. She, she said, I'm never bored. She is a granny, a mother and a granny, but she doesn't live with anybody at all anymore. And she said, I'm never bored because my brain is so interesting. And I went, oh, totally agree. If you're thinking interesting thoughts all the time, you just want peace and quiet to think about it. I don't know how my brother and I came to be a couple of brainy thinkers. Of course, we're not in the league of things in the world, but by comparison to a lot of people, we are, that famous TED talk by Ken Robinson about how teachers are all in their head and slightly to the left. I don't know why my brother and I are all in our heads, but we are. Maybe because our childhoods were difficult and it was easier to cut off our emotions and live above the neck. Quite a lot of people live above the neck. I don't know. But we are brainy, and things of the brain interest us a lot. So that life is never dull, because it's like, oh, I wonder what that is. And you're into that and exploring that. I don't know, Nicola. What I do know in answer to your part of your question is, because I've been doing it for 6 years, I'm very confident in it.
I think you've hit on something really interesting there, that people who have less than ideal childhoods tend to retreat into their own heads. And did you read a lot when you were both kids?
I did. He didn't. And to this day, he doesn't read, really. I mean, he reads all the financial press, but he doesn't read a book. We laugh at him about, his annual novel that he reads on holiday, which would be so lowbrow that I wouldn't pick it up.
Right. So that's not the answer then.
No.
Perhaps it's that you both.
I think it explains why you are constantly consuming books by experts, and I don't. Is because I'm confident in my own ability to make my own decisions and make up my mind about stuff. I don't need yet more input from somebody else to help me make up my mind about what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very aware that my thinking processes have improved over the last.
Oh yeah, brain training. I would agree. Yes.
Because of reading all these books, and
yes.
I'll constantly read these books until I get to a point where actually, my new business is working. But the interesting thing about it is that, listening to people and reading people like Rich Sheffrin, I found out about Kaizen, which is how to kind of bring it back to a business.
Now, that is something that my brother would like a lot because he's lived in Japan. He would like that a lot. That's about small incremental changes which make big differences, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also about looking to improve the weakest link in the chain.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting thing for me because, that applies very much to a marketing funnel, for example. You concentrate on the bit that isn't working first. Yes. Then there's...
that's a continuous improvement.
Yeah. So before we go into the other business thinking models that I think might be helpful for people, just come back to you because, and I think, this is why I'm quite fascinated by you and was when, the Money Gym, we were working together in the Money Gym because we'd have these meetings and our processes were very different.
Yeah.
So how do you, when you've started your businesses, how have you known how to make good business decisions? Or do you, have you had a process that you use to...
I think I just did the best I could at the time. And of course, as the years wear on, your best improves because you've got experience to build on. So last time I did that, it didn't go so great. Shall I repeat the same thing again or shall I adapt it?
Yeah. But I think the very fact that you stop and think about it is telling in itself, isn't it?
Well, I think all the time. I can't stop thinking my favourite thing to do. Yeah, that's why I insist on so much peace and quiet, why I can't have the phone ringing, why I don't have a television, why I don't allow people to come round, why, my number one value is peace and quiet. And you often say to me, what do you do with it all? I'm thinking.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs now talk about how, the morning routines, the morning rituals, and often that includes a period of, they call it meditation or something, whereas actually it's just letting the brain have the space to have ideas, isn't it?
Well, we both do that in the shower, don't we? So some of the thinking is inspired, it just comes, you don't know where it comes from, you have an idea. And the other thing that I do, all that writing that I do with blogging and newsletters and Facebook notes and talking to you, all that does, and when I'm talking to my clients and listening to them and they trigger ideas in me, all that does is order my thinking. So writing, and I work this out with my entrepreneurial clients a lot. When they're talking to me, they get clear in their own minds about stuff.
Yeah.
And, that ordering of your thinking. So your thoughts can be a bit of a sort of a busy noise. But if you think about it, there's some kind of process that goes on where you're eliminating some of the noise and you're distilling it down to the thing I'm going to do or the decision I'm going to make. And interestingly, I can see on your list, one of them is about body wisdom. Some of it's that, which is you just know. You just know you're not going to do that. You're not going to engage in that. You've got to back that one away because it's a distraction. So it's a combination. It's a body-mind thing very much. And I think one of the things that we've often talked about over the years is the ability to make a decision, which is not the same thing as thinking, interestingly.
I mean, I've actually bought books in the past on how to make good decisions. I've been so unsure about my own decision-making ability. I mean, up until even 20 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that I had the faintest clue about how to make a good decision or not.
I tell you what's interesting about decisions, which is I'm confident in my ability to make a decision, and I'm reasonably confident in my ability to make a good decision. And I'm also confident in my ability, if I make a bad decision, to change my mind and go another direction after that. But some things you either can't or won't make a decision about. So, for instance, the thing about selling the flat, I'm in two minds. If I keep it, great. If it goes, great. And I'm not making a decision there because I don't know which decision to make. Do I want to keep it? I don't. Do I want to get rid of it? That would be okay as well. It's not like I make a decision on 100% of everything. It's just the things I decide to make a decision on, I can.
I think that you picked on two very important points there. One is being emotionally unattached to the outcome.
Well, on some things, on the majority of things, on quite a lot of things, that's not possible, is it?
Yeah. And the other thing is about the confidence in your ability to change course if you make a bad decision.
Yeah, I'm a very confident person, and that kind of then it maybe was the confidence first, and then the decision making, and they're all bound up. I can't separate them or analyse them. I don't know what happened first.
Yeah, my driving instructor said when I was age 19, plenty of confidence, but not very competent yet.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think I was probably completely unbearable as a know-it-all late teenager, but I don't know that I was very confident then. I'm a bit older than you, and it was quite old-fashioned when I was a teenager, and I don't know that I was very confident then, but I think confidence comes with... I do remember a significant point in my life when I was 23. My dad had lent me 500 quid to buy my first flat, which cost £9,000, and in the same year, I had my ears pierced and I bought a brand new car, a Mini Metro for £3,000. And I used to use the car to drive back and forth to my parents across London. And then that wasn't always a happy thing. And I would often come home in tears. And then I realised one day, all the advice they'd given me and help and support was born out of love, but of their way of thinking. And a lot of it isn't working for me. So why don't I just try and say, thank you so much for all of that, but I'm just going to go my own way now. And from that moment onwards, once I started going my own way, not being influenced by others or elders or parental pressure, it all started to work. Because I'm not normal. I'm not like them. They both had jobs. They both were in the system, not outside of it. I'm a rebel outsider. And as soon as I embraced who I truly am, life began to work much better.
Did you hear there, listeners, that she bought a car for 1/3 of what she bought a flat for?
Yeah, that's right.
I suppose if you bought a top-of-the-range car now, you'd probably,
Well, a Mini Metro wasn't the top-of-the-range car even then, Nicola.
So as someone who hasn't been taught to think, you taught yourself or broke.
Well, now, you see, my friend Leslie, who I was telling you about just now, is going to live in Africa for 3 months. She and I went to school together, and it wasn't a brilliant school. Where we taught to think. Leslie's always got this very good expression that she uses about education, because people say they didn't teach us anything useful at school. Latin, what use is that? Algebra, what use is that? All of that kind of thing. What they were trying to do was teach us how to think, so that in adult life we could apply that learning to anything that interested us. So they didn't teach you how to get married or how to get divorced or how to change a plug or how to fold a fitted sheet or anything like that. But they taught us. They never explained this. It would have been so much better. If you had a half-decent education, you can apply it to anything in adult life.
They taught you how to learn.
Yes, they did. And which is a close cousin of how to think. Because if you can learn how to think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because, my two came out of school and they were deeply disinterested in learning anything at school. But Phoebe surprised me by putting on her timeline that she'd woken up early to watch a webinar the other day.
Well, Nicola, I was far less interested at school than I am now at 60 years of age in learning new stuff all the time. And I think if they'd explained it to us logically, the point of school, instead of which we were just sort of imprisoned and unhappy, whereas now, of our free will, almost everybody I know that is worth spending 5 minutes with is interested in learning stuff.
Yeah, and doesn't stop.
No.
So and I found some of these models really, really helpful on how to make decisions, how to think, how to structure things. If I was stuck, if I had a problem, if I had something I had to make a decision about, or if I had something that was frustrating or stopping me. So there's Kaizen, which is where you look for and improve the weakest link in the chain and you work on that first. There's the body decisions, gut decisions. We talked about this the other week, didn't we? Making decisions. What to do when you don't know what to do. That was the title of that episode.
Yes.
And then I'm going to come back to the fourth one. I read the decision tree, which is as taught by Rich Sheffrin in his really complicated process that I did, that I really was way over my head at the time, but has been a lifelong, saviour ever since. I think it's Eli Goldratt who had some sort of process, a bit like, the Kaizen thing, where you get these Post-it notes and you put the big problem at the top in one Post-it note colour, and then down the left you put all the obstacles for why you haven't achieved that goal at the top down the left, and then you get another colour Post-it notes and you turn those problems, challenges into positive outcomes, and then you get rid of the problems and challenges on the left, and the positive outcomes on the right are your plan, and you just have to order that in terms of, I have to do that before I can do that. And that was a thinking model that I found really, really helpful and use all the time and taught the kids to do when they were quite young. So that's the decision tree. I think it, as I say, it comes from something very famous, which I've completely forgotten, obviously. But
when I sometimes have to make a decision, you'll think this is funny, I use a thing called the yesnobutton.com, and I do just press the button and it goes yes or no. And it's the same as throwing a coin, because if you're disappointed with the result, you always knew what you wanted to do anyway.
Well, that comes back to body decisions, doesn't it?
Exactly. And of course, if you're very brainy, you're not used to accessing the clues from your body wisdom.
No, and that was something I totally ignored, any kind of intuition. It was only when I started to learn how to be a coach and found out about intuition all over again that I really realised that your body does know, and intuition, you can actually feel it in your gut. Yeah.
And when I'm playing cash flow with people, I say, what do you think and what do you feel? Because they're often two different things.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's another thinking model, isn't it? What do you think and what do you feel?
Well, what do I think? You see, people say, well, I think I ought to do such and such, but I feel like I want to do such and such. And which one are you going to go with?
Oh, that's a nice one. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We have to add that to the list.
Okay.
What do you think and what do you feel? Like that.
Yeah. And it's helpful if they're both the same, but they aren't always.
And then yesterday I came across a blog post by Steve Pavlina, and he talks about broken edges, where you look at a problem, and that's why this is coming at it now from the opposite point of view from where we started, which is faulty thinking. So he says that everybody always, once they reach a certain level of personal development, you always, the whole law of attraction thing, the whole thing we've all been talking about, which is it's all internal. So anything, if you're not achieving anything, it's internal. There's an internal reason. It's you. You've got to take responsibility. You've got to take action. You've got to take everything inside yourself. And he said sometimes that's not helpful. Sometimes it can be really unhelpful because it makes you feel less. It makes you feel not enough. And it makes you feel disempowered to make a good decision. So what he was saying was, how would it be if we turned it around and we realised that nothing is ever our fault? And there is always an external reason why we're feeling uncomfortable or upset or, annoyed with something or frustrated. So he said, how about if you look at it and you say, you write down what the problem is, then you look for the broken edges. So if you think that most of it is fine, works fine, so, whatever example you could give, most of it's fine and working fine, there's just a few broken edges. So let's identify the broken edges and see if those edges could be fixed.
Yeah.
And the thing that comes to my mind there is that image that often goes around on Facebook where the Chinese, is it, mend broken plates with gold?
Japanese, yeah. Yeah. And they like it more because it's broken. It's more beautiful because it's broken, yeah.
So,
very forgiving that.
Yeah, so instead of thinking I'm broken, think this thing is broken.
What's broken, yeah.
It's only the edges that are broken and
yeah.
can be fixed.
Yeah.
And then you get into a way of thinking that, okay, so he gave several examples, and we're going to have to link to the blog post, so I'll send you the link. He gave several examples which really helped to bring clarity to this, and I liked it a lot because I do believe you should take 100% responsibility and take action. I mean, I quoted...
But actually, what he's saying is not that you shouldn't, but he's saying that there's a thinking model that enables you to step outside yourself for a bit and look at it from outside in rather than from inside out.
Yeah, because we've just been talking about the learning thing, and he used one of his examples was that when he went to college straight out of school, he went to a pretty poor college where the teachers were very unmotivated and nobody was passionate about what they were doing, and he didn't learn very well, and there weren't enough classes and they weren't interesting, and he always thought that was him being a rubbish student. But then he came back to learning later on, did a very similar topic, but actually went in at a higher level rather than the lowest level. The teachers were passionate and fired up. The college was a lovely environment, and he flew. He won prize after prize after prize. So he said it wasn't me being a shit student. It was actually an external the edges were broken.
I'll tell you what I like about that story for any of our listeners. If your children are not thriving in the school they're in, is there a school that would suit them better?
Yeah, absolutely. Or
if you have a choice.
Or could you find a passionate...
A better learning environment, yeah.
Like my children, honestly, rubbish at maths, absolutely rubbish, as I am. But we found them a tutor who worked online through Skype. And, it was much easier for them and for me, God help me, not having to drive them around to go to tuition lessons or fight to get them in the car in the first place. They could just learn for an hour on Skype, and then, they managed to pass their exams enough to get maths, whatever it is you need nowadays. But, so look at the problem. See if there might be a real external reason. Look at the broken edges and see how you can fix the broken edges with gold, ideally.
And I would like to say something about Steve Pavlina, because I noticed recently on Facebook that you've been sharing a lot of his stuff, and there is a business model for everybody, because ever since I've heard of Steve Pavlina, which was about 15 years ago, he's just done the one same thing.
Yeah, personal development.
Well, he writes about it and makes money from writing about it.
And he's just launching a membership site. Which is,
and he's actually had one of the dullest looking websites forever, but he hasn't let that hold him back.
Yeah. He's good though. He writes really well.
Oh, he does. And also he practices all the stuff on himself first, like my favourite Michael Mosley.
Yeah, absolutely.
He before writing about giving up coffee, he'll have given up coffee for 6 weeks to see if it makes any difference.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to round this off then, if you're not getting where you want to be, look at yourself and see if you've got faulty thinking. If you've got a decision to make, try one of these methods we've talked about: Kaizen, body, gut decisions, broken edges, decision tree, and your one, which was how do I think? What do I think about this? How do I feel about this?
Yeah.
And then go round to the opposite side and think, okay, what if this isn't my fault? What if there's something that needs fixing that, if it was fixed, would mean that I get the outcome I want?
Yes, I think there's another thing as well, which is, trust yourself more. Stop dissing yourself and saying, I'm not very good at decisions, or whatever it is you're telling yourself. Try, make a decision, act, see what happens, and adjust accordingly.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, is it?
No.
Well, there we go. Not too bad a discussion from something we didn't really get at the beginning.
What I've realised is, for the last 100 episodes when I've been picking them, when you pick them and you bring them to the call, you kind of know what you're going to say. When you're on the receiving end, you don't know what you're going to say because you haven't had a chance to think it through at all in advance. There you go, thinking.
Yeah, and also the one thing that used to worry me was being taken into a meeting and being forced to come up with creative solutions on the spot. I need a bit of marinading time.
Well, I'm being unprepared. I totally agree. And I think that I've not met many things yet that I don't have an opinion on. So there you go. I'm quite confident that if you lead in my ability to find something to follow up with.
Yeah, your creative brain leaps into action, starts supplying scenarios and examples.
Right, but only if I'm in a dance.
With another person.
Well, because I didn't choose these, so when you sent them, I thought, oh, they look dull, because they weren't my thinking. Yeah. But I knew I could contribute. I knew I would be able to contribute once you started telling me what your thinking was around it all.
Yeah. So there's another thinking model, isn't it? Is to talk it through with someone, and you mentioned.
Oh yes, I like that one. Well, that's my business model, really, isn't it? For people who like to be in conversation to work out how they feel about things.
Yeah, entrepreneurs think with their mouths open.
Well, I think they do, yes. And they sometimes answer their own questions. So like, oh, and I go, did you hear what you just said? Because I'm listening to what they say. They're focusing on talking and sort of dumping it on me. And usually they talk themselves around to a solution, or they talk themselves around to empty. And when they're empty, I can then say, have you thought about,
and drop a little pebble in the pond?
Well, just anything that, because actually, what it is I'm not giving them the answers or the solutions. I'm giving them a thought which might lead to an answer or a solution of their own.
Yeah, and that's when they buy in, because it's got to come from them, hasn't it?
Well, I think it has in the main, yes.
Yeah, it can't be imposed.
No.
Word of the week, then.
You go first.
Grit.
Okay.
Because I'm discovering in the the fact of wearing 7 layers and coping with a fire and a hot water bottle, and I'm missing the cruise and to traffic and conversions right now. So that's I'm gritting my teeth and remembering why I'm here and what the benefits of being here are over the fact that I'm missing the cruise.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm here, and I'm gritting my teeth and getting.
Yeah, you've made a choice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Mine is being, in the spirit of my new group about loving my life. It's being as opposed to doing.
Oh, okay. That's good. We talk about being quite a lot in this, don't we?
We do.
Right. Review of the podcast website then.
Yes. Should we go and have a look?
Yes. If you're lovely listeners, if you'd like to join us. Now, the thing to do, Judith, is go...
I've realised, actually, lovely listeners, if you'd like to join us, most of our listeners are listening whilst in the supermarket, whilst making the beds and the supper, whilst out walking the dog, which explains why they don't go to our website a lot.
Yeah, very true. Now, can you go to our website in a browser you don't normally use?
I knew you were going to say that. Yes, probably. Hold, caller.
Or can you clear your cookies before you go?
No, I'll do Mozilla Firefox, which I hardly ever use and probably have not used to go to our website. Hold.
Yeah.
I know why you want me to do this. No, I don't.
We both need to see it as a new visitor would see it.
Interestingly, I've been there to the Summit one via Mozilla, but not to the podcast one. So that's good.
Just out of interest, everyone listening, this is something you should do to your own websites regularly, is open up a browser, clear the history, clear your cookies, and visit your own website as if you are a new visitor. Because you will see what happens to new people.
I think I can probably do it on your screen more easily than I can on my own.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, but I can see my... Yes, I think so. I think I'm not sure. Am I looking at yours or mine? I'm confused. Hang on. Let me look at yours. Right. Okay, go.
So the first thing you see when you arrive is the latest episodes, which and this is another thing, you need to look at your website on different things. So you should look at it on an iPad, I should look at it on a mobile after this as well. The first thing we see is the latest episode, and on the left-hand side, on a laptop this is the menu. But also we've got the Own It push crew thing pops up, which says Own It wants to notify you of new episodes. Notifications can be turned off anytime from browser settings. Would you allow or not allow on that?
No, I would not allow that.
Okay. Well, I'm allowing that because I'm preferring that to people sending me emails now.
Yeah.
And you can also change your browser settings so that...
Interestingly, that you just said, I'm preferring that to people sending me emails now. Okay, so there's something I've been telling you for ages, the death knell for email marketing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I totally agree. That's why I'm getting the app done.
Yeah.
So over on the left, we've got episodes, visit Nicola, visit Judith. Perhaps that should be
I don't know that we have our most wanted action, do we?
What is our most wanted action, Judith?
Well, I don't know. What is this, what is our... Well, there's a good point. We haven't agreed what our most wanted action is.
My most wanted action is for people to subscribe via iTunes.
Okay, so it should say that in a big purple flash across the top then, shouldn't it?
Good. So I could use Sumo Me to put in a call to action at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
So once
Well, that's a brilliant thing. We could stop this conversation now. We've just decided what our most wanted action is for our website, and that you're having to scroll to see it, and it's also quite small.
Well, okay, so let's just back up a little bit. My most wanted action is to subscribe via iTunes. Our most wanted action surely has got to be to listen to an episode, which would boost our download numbers. But do our download numbers count for a bag of beans? Because we're not actually selling sponsorship or anything, are we?
Well, it's one of our ultimate goals too.
Yes. Okay, good. So download numbers generally, and if people listen on the website, that does count on download to a download number. My goal is for people to subscribe via...
Well, then let's make that the goal for the next 6 months. It's the beginning of January. Let's make that our wanted goal for the next 6 months, and we'll be able to measure it. Because your Sumo Me thing is measurable, isn't it?
No.
No, bugger.
No, unfortunately, that's the bloody annoying thing about iTunes, is nothing's measurable.
Oh.
But having said that, there is one thing in our Libsyn hosting which will tell us if we're achieving anything with iTunes, because it does tell us how many downloads I think is it downloads we get via iTunes, or is it let me have a look. It does tell us something about iTunes anyway, so let's not go there just yet. Let's go there in a minute. Okay, so most wanted action for me, subscribe via iTunes, because that will get us up the charts. Most wanted action for you and me is to increase our download numbers so that we can attract...
Yeah, but let's have two most wanted actions. Let's start with yours. Let's get the subscribers on iTunes. For me, that would be absolutely fine. If we could measure...
That would be our goal. If we got...
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah. If we got up the charts, we'd get more downloads. If we got downloads, we would get sponsorship offers. Okay,
so we need in that lovely purple colour, a purple flash across the top, telling people what to do.
Okay, we do. And I can change this so it doesn't appear at the top of the screen and clash with the call to action at the top of the screen.
Okay, so where can it appear, that thing?
It can appear at the bottom or somewhere else. Should we get rid of this ask your burning question, because nobody has ever used that in the whole history of doing it?
Yes.
Because that's another annoyance. This is another thing for people listening. On a mobile phone, anything that pops up and potentially covers your screen, which you can't then get rid of easily, is a deep annoyance.
Yeah, I can't do that on my iPad on something I'm subscribed to at the moment, and it is a deep annoyance. You're right.
Do we need to jig around the order of our menu, do you think? What do we most want people to do on the menu?
Quite a long menu, that's what I would say.
We want to join the free Facebook group, don't we?
We do.
So that should be at the top, shouldn't it?
Yeah, and you can do that with a nice, do you know what I mean? A nice, Facebook give you a nice piece of code where you can see who else is a member thing, where you get pictures of the people.
Yeah, we've got that.
Oh, we've got that further down, okay.
I think those boxes are ugly.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so you're saying maybe we should have fewer things in the sidebar.
Yeah.
Can you scroll up a bit? Let's have fewer things in the sidebar and make them more powerful. Yeah. Every single episode tells people to go to you and me at the bottom of it. So do we need to be in the left-hand side? We probably do.
We could put that in the About drop-down menu. We don't need to have it in the main part of it.
No, that's true. Let's make it really powerful up top.
Yeah, okay. Main call to action up top. Yeah, okay. Nobody ever opts in. I don't know.
Right, okay. They do when you do Facebook ads, don't they?
Yeah, when I send ads straight.
Yes, yes. I have a few of those.
Yeah. We've handful 10 in the last 6 months. Something
like that. That's because we've hidden it under a menu item. That would normally, in any other website, be our most wanted action. They opted in.
It would, but you know what I'm thinking? I'd rather have people getting notified of new episodes.
Well, there you go. You want people to be modern with their tech. Yeah.
Okay, most shared posts. I quite like that because it's social proof, isn't it? That people.
Interesting. They're all terribly old ones.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like nobody shared an episode since number 47.
Ah, interesting.
I wonder if it stopped working.
Well, no, it hasn't stopped working. But what it's doing is it's a self-perpetuating prophecy, this most shared post, because obviously people are going to listen to the ones that are featured here on the left-hand side. And if they enjoy it...
Well, if they ever come to the website, it'd be fascinating to hear listeners, regular listeners who are in our Facebook group or page. Would you come and tell us how often, if ever, you go to our website?
Yeah, that'd be good. Because I don't ever go to the websites of the people whose podcasts...
Of course not. But there is a good reason for having a website, which Susan, again, wrote an article about, and I shared before Christmas. I may even have shared it in the Facebook group.
Well, the main reason is so that if anyone goes and types in Own It podcast into Google, they find our website.
And is that what we want them to find?
Greek.
Is that what we want them to find? Or do we want them to find the iTunes link?
Oh, that's a very good question. Oh, look at that. It is actually number 3 in the iTunes one.
Okay, good.
Facebook one is above it, and our website's number 1, even in Greek.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Hang on, let me just see if that changes anything. No, that doesn't change anything at all. Okay, so only if we got rid of the website and the Facebook page would the iTunes come up.
Well, 3 is fine because it's above the fold.
Yeah.
And it gives them 3 good choices. You can go to the website, you can go to Facebook, you can go to iTunes, and all 3 of them work for us just fine.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so...
I think this is enough. I don't even want to bore the listeners anymore because I think what we've done now is so important, and you've explained that. Okay, so let me just recap on the learnings from here. 1, make it perfectly clear above the fold what your one most wanted action is that you want the visitor to your website to do, which we hadn't done. 2, we hadn't even worked out what it was, actually, until this conversation. 2, go and look at your websites through all of your gadgets and through all of your browsers and take off annoying pop-ups. 3.
Yeah. And 3, make sure that your menu is not confusing people because too many choices confuse people.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, just to let you know about podcast websites, is that the importance of doing the show notes, for example, is that it's constantly updated relevant content, which keeps you at number 1 in Google if someone types in your podcast name.
Yes.
Just to let you know as well, we do this thing where every week the most current episode also displays the last 5 or 6 episodes, and then as you scroll down to the next episode, it only plays that episode. So there's a good reason for that, and one is that new visitors to the site probably won't go further down than the latest episode, but you need to be able to entice them with other titles.
Yeah.
But when you go further down, you only want them to play that one.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right, so hopefully that's interesting to anyone who's got a podcast or thinking about a podcast.
Or got a website.
Yeah, indeed. Good point. My website looks absolutely pants on desktops and laptops now, and I don't care because it's all being geared for mobile nowadays.
Okay.
So that's why everything's centred, which looks horrible on a laptop, but there you go. We have to live with that. Who or what's impressed Judith?
Well, in the Christmas holidays every year, accidentally, I always end up watching University Challenge because it's not for students. This is a hark back to the thinking. It's not for students, it's the alumni. So all the famous people that went to universities are on representing their old university, and they're all advanced in their careers. So they're not unformed teenagers. They're people who've achieved something. They're newsreaders or novelists or scientists or space people, or there was somebody on there called the UK's Data Guardian. I don't even know what that means, but anyway, who or what impressed me was that the Christmas series this year, which was only a short number of episodes, something somewhere between 7 and 10, was won almost single-handedly by the crime writer Val McDermid. Do you know Val McDermid?
I've read all his books.
It's a woman, but she won it single-handedly, almost. And there was a novelist sitting next to her, and the two of them were totally brilliant. They were in one of the 2 episodes was all women, so 4 on this team and 4 on that team, all women. And Jeremy Paxman made a remark about it was rare, but actually he was being complimentary. And then it was won by Val's team, and she and the novelist sitting next to her pretty much answered all of the questions. The Christmas University Challenge was won almost single-handedly by one woman who happened to be a crime writer and a woman, and I thought that was brilliant. Well, she did go to Oxford, so there we go.
I didn't. How funny that I thought it was a man. There's all those amazing crime writers, starting with Agatha Christie, and for some reason I assume it's one. So, what's impressed me this week is a bit of software called intercom.io. And what intercom.io is, it's beautiful to set up. It's so intuitive, which a lot of softwares aren't. You have to resort to the help desk or whatever. I managed to get all this done myself. And basically, you put a bit of code on your website, a bit of code on your membership site, a bit of code on your membership site where people aren't logged in, and a bit of code on your app. And it goes. This bit of code goes across everywhere. Goes onto your pages, your lead pages, and whatever. One bit of code, a bit like the Facebook pixel. And what it does is it enables you to see and help people at whatever stage they're at. So they can use it from your app to contact you, from your website to contact you, from your membership site to contact you. It enables you to see whether people are logged in or whether which pages they visited, how many times they visited your website, how long they stay. And it enables you to reach out to them at any stage in the journey and help, ask them a personal question. So, for example, if I'll be able to see if they've joined the website but the membership site, but they haven't logged in yet, and send them a personal question saying, I see you haven't logged in yet. And you can set up auto messages as well. So if they don't log in within, say, 7 days of joining, it will send them an auto message saying, I see you haven't logged in yet. Do you need any help? Can we, is there something that's stopping you coming and having a chat? And I kept hearing about this software, and I thought, no, I've got to get it after Sarah told me how rubbish I was at customer service. And it's been a joy. It really has. So, and
ultimately, it won't be you manning that, Nicola, will it? Or will it?
No, ultimately it won't. No, initially it will, because everyone says that it's really good to get feedback from your customers.
Yeah.
And first-hand feedback from your customers at that. But eventually you can set up a help. Patricia or someone could take turns, and then you have someone manning it at one side of the world, and then when that person goes off duty, you've got someone on the other side of the world.
Yeah,
but it's just a nice bit of kit that enables you to help at whatever stage in your customer journey they're at.
Okay,
very nice. That's us done, Judith.
Good.
So I'll see you the same time, same place next week.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.